There's a strange symmetry to this universe, one that doesn't operate on opinion, but on energy. The moment someone throws thorns in your path, the universe doesn't just watch, it responds with precision, with timing, with balance. The energy you give out is the energy that eventually greets you on the way back. And those who tried to bury you, the soil they threw became your platform. That's the irony. The very ones who wanted you buried are now forced to watch you rise higher from the dirt they thought would silence you. Critics don't just appear to disagree. They exist because your existence triggers something they can't control. Their hate isn't power. It's a silent admission of your impact. See, when you're chosen, you're not just walking through life, you're being watched by those waiting to see you fail. And that pressure, it isn't meant to break you, it exposes them, because every attack they send is a boomerang. Every lie, every scheme, every twisted attempt to discredit you gets recycled by the universe into your spotlight. You are chosen, not just to rise, but to haunt the illusions others tried to trap you in. Your presence disturbs systems. Your energy shatters fake alliances. Your success is their karma. You weren't designed to fit into their systems. You were born to override them. If you've ever felt that deep knowing that this world couldn't contain what's inside you, then this message was meant for you. Tap into that power. Like this video. Subscribe to this channel, because your rise isn't optional anymore. It's cosmic law. If this message hit a nerve, it's because you're not like the rest. This path was never random. It was coded into you from the start. Only the chosen will understand why traditional work feels like a slow death, while others just call it life. Stay with me until the end, because what you're about to hear will finally confirm everything your soul's been screaming, but no one else could ever validate. Number 1. Stop trapping powerful energy in small jobs. You were meant to shift atmospheres, not clock in. They taught you that success lives in structure, that value comes from titles, that the higher you climb their ladder, the closer you get to respect. But they never told you what happens when a soul like yours tries to squeeze itself into a box built for conformity. No one warned you that following their blueprint would quietly erase yours. Because here's the raw truth. This system isn't broken. It was built this way. And it was never made to hold someone like you. You weren't born to be efficient. You were born to be electric. Your voice isn't a tool for task lists. It's a trigger for awakening. You were never meant to punch in and out of someone else's timeline. You move on a cosmic rhythm, unpredictable, expansive, unstoppable. But when you try to sync with a system that thrives on obedience and numbness, your spirit doesn't just get tired. It starts to revolt, not in chaos, but in silence. Your creativity dries up, your spark dims, and no matter how many meetings you show up to, or how many praises they hand you, your energy keeps whispering, "This isn't it." The tragedy isn't that you don't fit in. The real tragedy is that you ever thought you were supposed to. You try to make peace with it. You tell yourself to be grateful, but slowly the fire in you shrinks to smoke. And every time you silence that inner resistance just to survive one more day, you move further away from who you really are. That ache you've been ignoring, that urge to break free when everyone else seems to be adjusting just fine, that's not a problem, that's proof. You are not here to conform. You're here to crack the illusion wide open. Let them call you too sensitive, too bold, too rebellious. That's just code for you can't be controlled. The more you shrink, the more off balance your world becomes, because the system doesn't just dull your gift, it thrives on your submission. That's why your light makes them nervous. That's why you feel like a stranger even when you're excelling. You weren't made to shine under fluorescent lights. You were designed to blaze. So if you've been carrying this weight, this unshakable feeling that something isn't right, even when everything looks right, then this isn't just another video. This is a mirror, and it's reflecting a truth only chosen ones can recognize. They can't teach you how to operate in freedom if they've never tasted it. But you've felt it since the beginning. So trust that resistance, honor that whisper, and get ready, because everything you were made for exists outside the system that's been trying to shrink you. Number 2. Quit taking orders that shrink you. Your spirit was built to lead, not obey. Chosen one, have you ever noticed how your entire being tenses up the moment someone tries to control your flow? That discomfort you feel when you're told what to do, how to move, when to speak. It's not rebellion. It's recognition. Your spirit knows when it's being confined, and no matter how professional the command sounds, your soul reads the energy underneath it. That resistance is your truth rising. You weren't designed to be managed. You were designed to move mountains. There's a fire in you that doesn't respond to rank. It responds to purpose. So when someone tries to cage that fire with tasks, quotas, or robotic routines, the flame dims. Not because it's weak, but because it's being suffocated. And over time, you start confusing your frustration for failure when it's actually your alignment trying to save your life. You weren't sent here to follow outdated systems. You were sent here to rebuild them. You weren't made to wait for instructions. You were made to become the instruction. The world calls that being uncoachable. They call it difficult, rebellious, non-compliant. But what they're really saying is, you can't be controlled the way others can. You can't be programmed. And that scares them. Your spirit is not here for obedience. It's here for direction. You were built to be a force, not a follower. So if you're feeling torn in every environment where you're expected to be silent, compliant, or invisible, understand this. You're not out of place. You're just in the wrong position. Your power doesn't thrive under control. It thrives in creation. So stop shrinking to be accepted in places that were never meant to hold you. You were never meant to take orders. You were meant to give the world new instruction through your existence. Number 3. Don't soak in toxic energy for a paycheck. Protect your vibration before it pollutes your purpose. Chosen one, have you ever stepped into a room and felt like the air itself turned against you? No words spoken, yet your entire being recoils. That's not anxiety, it's recognition. Your energy knows before your mind does. Because the environments most people normalize are the exact places your purpose goes to suffocate. And if you stay too long in spaces soaked with bitterness, masked jealousy, and fear-based survival, you don't just lose time. You lose clarity. You lose alignment. You lose parts of yourself. This is why the average workplace feels like a slow spiritual leak. You walk in full, but by noon you're drained, not from the workload, but from the energy warfare. Smiles that hide sabotage, laughter that echoes insecurity. Meetings filled with fake excitement over missions that mean nothing to your soul. You weren't made for that. You weren't born to swim in low-frequency chaos just to pay rent. They call it professionalism. You feel it as psychic pollution. You sense the gossip before it starts. You feel the envy behind compliments. You pick up frequencies that others dismiss as paranoia. That's not weakness. That's calibration. And your calibration is too pure to stay immersed in poisoned atmospheres. Chosen ones don't thrive in places that reward conformity over consciousness. You weren't meant to adapt to dysfunction. You were made to disrupt it. But staying too long just to seem stable, that doesn't make you noble. That makes you vulnerable. And the longer you stay, the easier it is to forget how powerful your energy really is. This isn't just about money. It's about mission. Your light was never meant to be dimmed, just to blend in. Protect your vibration like your purpose depends on it, because it does. Number 4. Stop starving your creativity to survive. Your gift needs freedom, not approval. Chosen one, have you noticed how your brightest ideas only show up when you're alone, when you're free, unbound, and unobserved? That's not coincidence. That's your soul exhaling. But the moment you return to that routine, the structure, the lifeless to-do lists, that spark disappears. And you start to wonder if you're losing your edge. You're not. You're suffocating under someone else's ceiling. You weren't made to survive off breadcrumbs of creativity squeezed into a coffee break. You were built to create rivers of brilliance, not color inside the lines of a corporate manual. What you carry isn't just talent. It's divine technology, blueprints, solutions, healing. And every time you suppress that to meet deadlines that don't honor your destiny, you starve the very thing that makes you chosen. Jobs reward performance, not innovation. They don't care how revolutionary your idea is if it doesn't fit their format. And over time, your genius gets quiet. Not because it's gone, but because it's been ignored for too long. You become efficient, but empty. Respected, but hollow. Chosen one, your creativity isn't a hobby. It's your assignment. And systems that demand you trade your vision for security will always make you feel like you're fading. You weren't sent here to execute. You were sent to awaken. But you can't do that if your gift is buried under policy, approval, and fear. So ask yourself, are you creating or just completing tasks? Are you alive or just functioning? Because the world doesn't need another employee. It needs what's locked inside you. Uncage your brilliance. Unmute your gift. Don't just exist. Express. You were never meant to survive the system. You were meant to redesign it. Number 5. Escape the paycheck prison. You're meant to create wealth, not be measured by it. They gave you a number and called it value, a salary, a paycheck, a fixed figure slapped on your time, your talent, your energy, as if your worth could be calculated in monthly digits. But here's the truth they never told you. A paycheck is not purpose. It's a pacifier. It keeps you just comfortable enough to forget you're still caged. You weren't born to be priced. You were born to produce, to create wealth, not just collect it. Wealth that flows from your originality, from your power to build what's never existed. But when you're chained to a number someone else controls, your destiny is reduced to survival. And you weren't chosen to survive. You were chosen to expand. They don't want you to know this, but jobs pay you just enough to keep you from leaving and never enough to set you free. That's not security. That's strategic containment. And the longer you stay, the more your creative instincts get traded for comfort. Your brilliance gets boxed in, and suddenly you're asking for promotions in a system you were designed to outgrow. Real wealth doesn't come from obeying. It comes from originating, from building what you've been dreaming in secret, from monetizing your gift, not managing someone else's. Look around. The most powerful creators didn't wait for compensation. They built empires from conviction. So ask yourself, are you working for approval or creating from alignment? Are you chasing checks that numb you, or planting seeds that could free generations? You are not here to be budgeted. You are not here to be measured. You are here to multiply. Chosen ones don't wait for raises. They raise entire standards. And the moment you stop settling for salary is the moment your abundance starts flowing from who you truly are. Number 6. Break free from the routine. Killing your calling, your mission, requires spiritual flexibility. You weren't born to repeat patterns. You weren't sent here to perfect a routine someone else created just to keep you busy and boxed in. You're not restless because you're unstable. You're restless because your spirit is trying to wake you up. There's a quiet war happening inside you, and it starts every time your alarm clock pulls you into another day that has nothing to do with your real assignment. And the longer you stay in that cycle, the more numb you become to the truth. This is not your life. It's a script written for your silence. Chosen one, your mission cannot survive inside someone else's agenda. You weren't wired for repetition. You were designed for revelation. But how can you move with purpose when your days are filled with tasks that drain you? How can you respond to intuition when every hour is already owned by obligation? You're not lazy for resisting routine. You're aligned. Because your calling needs space. Your destiny requires flow. And your evolution will never fit inside their productivity charts. The world praises discipline, but not the kind your spirit demands. It wants obedience to schedules, not surrender to soul timing. But you are built different. You are made to respond when energy shifts, when vision hits, when the unseen speaks. That doesn't make you unstructured. That makes you sovereign. And yes, it's scary to let go of structure when the world swears it's the only way. But what they call stable, your soul calls suffocating. Your rhythm is not random. It's sacred. So break free, not because you're failing, but because you're finally listening. You weren't meant to live on someone else's timeline. You were meant to move when truth moves. That's where your mission activates. That's when your real life begins. Number 7. Don't stay where you're the target. Move where your presence is respected, not resented. There's something unspoken that happens the moment you walk into a room. Eyes shift, energy stirs, masks begin to slip. And not because you've done anything. It's because you've arrived with something they don't understand, something they can't manipulate, and something they secretly fear. Your presence isn't just noticed, it unsettles. You're not a threat because you speak loudly. You're a threat because you exist loudly, even in silence. That's what makes you a target. Not your actions, your alignment. When you're chosen, your aura doesn't ask for permission to enter. It enters, and everything built on lies begins to crumble. That's why the whispers start before you even speak. That's why they try to isolate you without cause, question your every move, or twist your silence into arrogance. But this isn't personal. It's energetic. You're a walking disruption to environments that depend on delusion to survive. And here's the trap. The longer you stay in these spaces trying to be palatable, the more you start believing you're the problem. You overthink, you shrink, you apologize. Not because you did anything wrong, but because you're surrounded by people who treat your authenticity like an offense. That's not belonging. That's spiritual warfare in disguise. You weren't made to survive in places that weaponize your presence. You were made to build spaces where your light activates others. So if you've been trying to win the approval of people who fear your clarity, stop. You don't need to prove yourself in atmospheres where your greatness is seen as a threat instead of a gift. Chosen one, stop staying where your presence is tolerated. It's time to move where your presence is respected, because where you're going, your energy won't be a problem. It'll be the blueprint. Number 8. Stop settling for just a job. Your destiny demands more than a description. They told you to just get a job. Any job, something safe, something stable. They told you to be realistic, to be responsible. But chosen one, your destiny was never meant to come with a job description. You weren't built to be boxed into bullet points. Your spirit wasn't designed to be summarized in 2 paragraphs and a performance review. What lives inside of you cannot be filed under relevant experience. You weren't sent here just to make ends meet. You were sent to shift the atmosphere, to move through this world like a force, not an employee. And every time you settle for just a job, you silence the very frequency that makes you dangerous to the system. You're not here to blend in. You're here to break patterns. Your mission is multidimensional, but the system only rewards what's measurable, what's manageable, what's predictable. So they tell you to stay, to play it safe. But deep down, you can feel it. The resistance, the suffocation, the growing gap between what you do and who you are. Let's be clear, a job might pay the bills, but it can't pay the price of ignoring your purpose. And while others are content with stability, you've always felt called to something bigger, something freer, something real. So, why are you still settling for titles that don't touch your truth? For tasks that drain, not activate? Chosen one, your destiny doesn't come with instructions. It comes with fire. And until you step into spaces where your power is required, not reduced, you'll continue to feel like a lion on a leash. It's time to tear up the script they wrote for you. Your future is not a position, it's a revolution. Number 9. Don't chase promotions that lead nowhere. You were built to build, not beg. They'll dangle titles in front of you like shiny keys: promotion, advancement, opportunity, hoping you'll chase them like validation is a prize. But chosen one, let's be clear, those promotions were never for you. Not because you're incapable, but because you're incompatible. The higher you climb in someone else's system, the further you drift from your own blueprint. You weren't built to beg for access. You were built to architect what they're still trying to understand. They want you to believe that elevation equals status, more responsibility, more applause, more perks. But what they don't say is that each step up their ladder costs you another piece of yourself. The creativity gets squeezed. The calling gets delayed. The mission becomes muffled under job descriptions that sound impressive but feel spiritually bankrupt. Chosen one, your value was never tied to a title. It was carved into you from the beginning. So, why are you asking for seats at tables you were born to flip? Why are you auditioning in rooms you were meant to own? You were never supposed to climb their ladder. You were supposed to burn it down and build a staircase no one's ever seen before. That's why it doesn't satisfy you. That's why you feel more exhausted the higher you go. Because success built on misalignment is just slow self-abandonment dressed in corporate language. Let them chase applause. Let them cling to corner offices. You were made to construct empires from your own blueprint, and until you stop chasing what was designed to keep you tame, you'll keep mistaking promotion for purpose. You weren't made to rise within the system, you were made to rise above it. So stop climbing, start creating. Number 10. Stop mistaking misalignment for laziness. Your soul's rebellion is your truth. Speaking, they told you you're lazy, unfocused, unmotivated, that if you just pushed a little harder, smiled a little wider, showed up with more gratitude, you'd finally feel aligned. But what they don't understand is this: your soul isn't malfunctioning. It's rejecting what was never meant for it. That heaviness in your chest, the fog in your mind, the dread that greets you every Monday morning, that's not burnout. That's betrayal. And your spirit is done pretending that this feels like purpose. You've been conditioned to see your lack of interest as a flaw, to believe that if a job drains you, you're the problem. But chosen ones don't settle into survival like everyone else. We feel misalignment like a body feels poison. Immediately, violently, spiritually. It's not that you can't function in these roles. It's that you know deep down, functioning isn't the goal. Thriving is, creating is, awakening is. What they label as laziness is really spiritual intelligence. It's your higher self slamming the brakes before your destiny gets derailed. Because what looks like procrastination to the world is often protection in disguise. Your hesitation isn't weakness. It's your inner compass saying, "This path is too small for me." Stop letting people diagnose your alignment with their limited perception. You were never made to run on someone else's program. You were encoded with purpose, not policy. So when your soul revolts, listen. That's not failure speaking. That's your future calling. Loud, clear, unapologetic. You're not lazy, you're chosen. And chosen ones don't fake energy in dead-end directions. They feel deeper, they break sooner, and they rebuild better, on paths that actually honor their power. Number 11. Quit trading purpose for safety. The system was never meant to handle your calling. They told you to be smart, to be safe, to follow the rules. They told you to choose the secure path, the one with benefits, steady paychecks, and predictable outcomes. But what they never said out loud is this: safety can be a cage, and comfort can become a coffin for your calling. Chosen one, every time you traded a divine idea for a responsible decision, you gave a piece of yourself to a system that was never built for you. You weren't designed to be manageable. You were made to be magnetic. But safety taught you to be small, to obey, to wait your turn. So you silenced your brilliance and hoped the world would reward your compliance. It didn't. Because this system doesn't reward souls. It rewards submission. It isn't structured to support your expansion. It was created to control it. Your purpose is disruptive by nature. That's why when you speak, rooms shift. That's why your suggestions make people uncomfortable. It's not that you're wrong. It's that your presence exposes the limits they've accepted as life. Every time you said yes to what felt safe but soulless, your alignment slipped further out of reach. But the truth has a way of chasing you down. It shows up in your restlessness, in your boredom, in the quiet rage you feel when you know you're meant for more, but the world around you can't see it. So stop trying to force a sacred mission into a man-made mold. Safety is not your savior. Alignment is. The system was never meant to carry your calling. You were built to carry the blueprint that rewrites the system itself. You're not here to follow tradition. You're here to start a new timeline, one that only the chosen can walk. Number 12. Stop asking for jobs you've outgrown. It's time to build the blueprint you were born with. You weren't sent here to fit into outdated titles. You were sent here to replace them. Chosen one, there comes a moment in every powerful soul's journey where the system they once tolerated becomes unbearable. Not because it suddenly changed, but because you did. That job you keep applying for, that role you keep praying fits better this time. It's not that you're unqualified, it's that you've outgrown the entire foundation it was built on. Stop asking for seats at tables you were born to redesign. The universe isn't rejecting your efforts, it's redirecting your energy. You keep trying to squeeze back into rooms that your spirit already left. That constant rejection, that closed door, that unbearable silence after interviews, they aren't curses, they're protection. They're the echo of your future calling you forward while your past tries to hold you still. Chosen one, your blueprint was never meant to match theirs. You weren't built to serve their bottom line. You were created to start a movement. And every time you settle for just a job, you delay the mission encoded in your DNA. You're asking for opportunities that would chain you when you've been called to create structures that free others. The ones who can't understand you are trapped in systems you were sent to replace. So stop auditioning for spaces that can't contain your evolution. You've already graduated from needing their permission. This isn't about proving yourself anymore. It's about positioning yourself. The blueprint you were born with isn't missing. It's waiting, but it only activates when you stop begging for assignments that insult your purpose and start building the life that matches your original code. You are not lost. You're being called. And it's time to answer with creation, not compliance. So if you've been feeling stuck, drained, or strangely unwelcome in spaces that once seemed like the goal, it's because you've shifted. You're no longer meant to ask for access. You're meant to own the blueprint. Chosen one, this isn't rejection, it's redirection into your real power. So stop knocking on doors you were born to walk past. Start building what only you were designed to bring. If this message confirmed something deep in your soul, hit that like button, subscribe, and share this with another chosen one who's been questioning their path. Your purpose is too sacred to be ignored any longer.